Awesome, guys. We are good to go. Welcome back. Welcome back to MTVTA. I'm your guys' host, Trent Manager. Welcome back. Real glad to be home, guys. I'm glad I'm not streaming out of the grandma's house anymore. But hope you guys have been well. Hope the week has been well. Hope you guys had a great holiday weekend and last week. Let's see what else. Got any other housekeeping to cover real quick while I was gone, making sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, we got our videos out at Gma's house, and we had our Ethereum poll, or our Ethereum first basics chapter 1 released yesterday. So for those who missed that, real quick, just gonna go over some quick housekeeping real quick. Just go to my YouTube. I've got to add that to the folder, but it should just be, of course, right up front because it's the newest video. Awesome, actually. Cool. Awesome, right here. So if you want to learn the basics of the anatomy of the smart contract and overall just kind of get your hands a little dirty, with some development side and just see how, what I do for work and how things, work in the cryptocurrency ecosystem, especially in Ethereum, mainly where my job takes place. I would love for you to check that out. We got some, now that things have slowed down just a little bit, just to get stuff out of the way in terms of price action, and we're going to cover this as we continue going with the stream. I'll probably continue to release maybe out of our 1 or 2 days. I mean, we're actually right near the one more page. So I mean, we get one more page and then we'll be bumping it up to 3 times a week. So maybe one of those days out of the 3 live streams, we'll do like a coding live stream, or we'll do like a coding development stream. Because I've this is doing better than literally most of all my other live streams. So if this is, I'm here to cater towards you guys. So if this is something you guys really like to see, and this is something you want to continue moving forward, then this is definitely something we'll do, no doubt. But alrighty, guys. So that's out of the way. Got that out of the way real quick. Let's really go over some quick news, some housekeeping before we really jump into it. We don't have too much to cover today. And first off, really before we get into it, I know the price action has been just really, really terrible, and it's very sad to watch. I don't expect you guys, of course, to look at the prices every day, and I do not advise that at all. But just really coming from a heart-to-heart standpoint, I've been there. I know everyone is not in the same boat in terms of, when you got here, when you got in. I know this is a lot of your guys' first investing journey, ever. And honestly, that is pretty insane. I came from stocks, so I didn't jump headfirst into crypto at all. I came from stocks and moved over to this market in late 2019. That's honestly where I'd say I actually got it and the light bulb went off for me. But just from some more personal approach, these are the times, and I'm speaking about this from a development standpoint too, when we were back in, before the March crash, and, even as we were leading up to March, and, things were boring, DeFi wasn't nearly what it was. And these are the times that not only as a developer, but as an investor, if you stay around and not only are you getting cheap assets, of course, that you've seen the performance that beforehand that you've seen that they can perform well. Not only are you getting that, but you're also sticking around for the information. This is where the real great development comes. Where you're not really distracted about the continuing green candles monthly. All the news isn't swamping you on your desktop, and things are not just overwhelmingly crazy, and it's just better time for you to pay attention. So those who are still here, because I noticed the channel kind of sinks around these times when we're not crazy green, and meme coins aren't shooting up, and everything is just oh my gosh, we're all rich, type deal. But this really is the time to where this is bull markets will make you rich, bear markets will make you wealthy. So just for consideration for those who really maybe just need that extra push, and we're going to cover this as we go further as well, is just if you could buy the new iPhone 60% off, would you? That's really all I would leave you with right there. So alrighty, nothing me rambling and getting into it. Let's cover our housekeeping and start moving forward. So awesome. So our quick news story, we're going over Wells Fargo ending their personal lines of credit, which is very bad. Not a good idea. I don't know how people are still using Wells Fargo at all. They are terrible. Fidelity to hire more crypto hands amid growing institutional interest. We've seen that. A snapshot of internet growth. We're also going to cover some of the correlations between the internet growth and the cryptocurrency markets in terms of blockchain technology and the adoption. Very, very interesting. Elizebeth Warren also given the deadline for the SEC, July 28th, which is also phenomenal. No more kicking the can down the road. We will have an official thumbs up or thumbs down by the 28th in terms of regulation and what laws need to become in place. We're going over some small little videos here. Got Crypto Wendy and some Lark Davis. We cover a lot on this channel, which those are some of my two top influencers, not influencers, researchers, and of course analysis that I pay attention to. There are very, very good people in this space besides me that I look up to as well. And then also we might go over China's ban. I might just put that on the Patreon because this was actually really interesting. I thought this because it goes over some of the correlations between YouTube bans, Google, Facebook, a lot of these bans that come into China. Anytime a new technology comes from the West and shifts over, worldwide, China seems to always get a hand on it in terms of having the regulations tight. So, alrighty guys, enough of that. Let's go right into our first reading. So Wells Fargo is ending personal lines of credit, and here's what it means for customers. I did do some research on this because honestly, I didn't know exactly off the bat exactly how bad this was, but Wells Fargo isn't that great of a bank anyway. Like we've known plenty of times, if you've been paying attention in any sort of like financial daily news or anything about that, you've heard about Wells Fargo and like the things that they've done, like predatory loans. They've reorganized app purchases. So like here are two examples as to how bad like they've gotten. So predatory loans are usually not, of course, exactly how they sound. So banks go after low income areas and provide loans that are way unsusceptible. So like you live in a house, your median household is let's say 30K, very low, right? And let's say you go to Wells Fargo will approve you for a loan for well over $100,000 or close to 80K, something that you cannot possibly return, depending on whatever investment you're doing. But most people who take out loans that are not mortgage loans are usually not susceptible and usually don't do very well. So business loans, of course, there's good loans and bad loans. The only good loan I really consider is a mortgage, like for a house. A business is pretty much up there as well. I say taking money out for a business is not a bad idea, but having a structured plan is a better idea as well. You can't go blindly into taking out these loans. But not only just with Wells Fargo, they've also reorganized app purchases. So that means, let's take this for example, right? So you have 3 bottles of water, and let's say you have your overdraft. Let's say you don't have enough money to cover that bottle of water, right? So let's say the bottle of water is like $35. Of course, it's not going to make sense, but $35 per water. Wells Fargo was reorganizing your transactions, so your water bottle was coming first in your transactional details, but the overdraft fee would come before that. So you would get a $35 overdraft fee on not one bottle of water, but every bottle of water you bought after that, because you're trying to sustain your funds in your app purchases, even when that water bottle came first, not the overdraft fee. So those are just you can look this up well. We can just do a quick Google search. Let's do Wells Fargo bad news. It'll probably something will come up. Yeah, trouble past. I mean, you can just look up all the issues that they've had, over the years. But long story short, getting back to the main topic of what exactly, we were covering, really just what that means for, closing personal lines of credit. So you got to loan out anything that has to do with lending from Wells Fargo. So you're, either you took a loan out for a business or, anything along those lines where you need a front of money. It could affect your credit score. It will affect your credit score quite a bit when they do shut down these lines of credit. You have about 60 days, I believe, until they really do shut that down. It does only apply to 1,000 to 25,000. So I guess that is a little bit better in terms of not having big commercials. Cause like if you were like Stewart, I think those painters who the Stewart paint, if they took out, I know sometimes they'll go to Wells Fargo and, let's say you're Stewart and you take out $10 million in loans to paint houses and company buildings, and then they just call you and say, hey, like, you know what, we're closing your account. That's not good at all, and that's really, really bad. And the last time we saw this, guys, is actually in the 2009 recession, or 2008 falling into 2009. So this will be interesting to play out. I still don't know how Wells Fargo's in business. They've had very illegal practices and things that are not legitimate, and they're also put on really like heavy bank restriction from the U.S. as well. So we'll see how that goes. If you have Wells Fargo, please comment below and tell me why you have Wells Fargo, and try to convince me as to how this is still even alive and continuing to function. So gonna skip that. We're pretty much all wrapped up with that. That's just crazy. And also going over to Fidelity, going to hire more hands-on crypto for institutional interests. And if you've been here a while, and only if you're new, that's completely fine. No worries at all. But we talk about it every stream just because it's so important. I sound like a broken record, but I quote the same things pretty often because my sentiment doesn't really change in terms of price action, because we don't gamble on this channel. We're long-term investors on this channel for the technology, number one, and also for the belief of cryptocurrency and the way it's moving to not only better our world, but just better everyone's lives in terms of giving equal playing field of financial opportunity. So where this comes into play, we've known that Fidelity has been here for a while. JP Morgan, all these big players have been quietly, very, very quietly, been emerging themselves into this technology, whether that be adopting assets, bringing on team members to, construct wallets, better understand this technology so that these guys can get a grip on the system, and it's hard for me to be bearish also and say, oh my gosh, this is awful, we're gonna be in this bear market for years, because that's just, I just do not believe that's the case. I hope I improve. I hope I'm not right, because it's just crazy to see all this adoption and think that things are not going to continue to move. We could be in this downtrend for 3 months, 6 months, a year. I don't think it'll happen that long, but of course that's just something we have to keep in mind. A lot of you guys, this is your first rodeo, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've been in the exact shoes you've been in. The March crash happened literally a year and 4 months ago. We lost 80% of our market value in literally 5 days. So I've definitely been where you're at, and it is proven time and time again that we've talked about also that if you bought the top 4 years ago, 2017, if you held all the way through to where we are now, you would be substantially up. It's like a statistic proven that anyone who's bought Bitcoin in the history of Bitcoin, if they've held, I think it's for a year and a half plus, or a year and 20 days or something, that you would be in profit, and it'd be pretty significant. We had one of the biggest runs that we've seen in history in terms of adoption this run, and really covering that, we've got plenty more to move. We've just got too much bullish sentiment for me to be really negative, and that's just me. I don't like everyone agreeing with me, and I like people that come back at me and tell me things that aren't right, or they give me a better perspective, because I'm just always pretty positive on this space, because it would be hard to go back and be negative. It'd be easier to go back and be negative on the internet, and then watch it explode and say, oh, I knew it. And there's a lot of people who did that back in the day. But realistically, Fidelity's growing their bases, they're growing their customer base, their institutional base, they're getting things ready, and I keep up with this pretty often. I'm on here every day reading somewhat, and this is something that we continue to pay attention to, because we follow the actions, not the words. Words are hollow. Actions are forever, because these are, of course, real actions that they are doing, and they have to disclose these. So it's really good to pay attention, and really also be an independent thinker too. That's what I really praise you guys for too, especially my people, is that you guys will come at me with questions, and you'll be your own independent thinker, and you'll continue to do that. You won't listen to the sentiment of what the big guys are telling you, the mainstream media or your friends. And this is also another one. It's hard to take advice from people, and this is going to sound I don't want it to come off and sound very rude, because it's not, and you can learn something from everybody. But in terms of having people not only that are not involved in space, have no idea what they're talking about in terms of technological wise, blockchain and projects, I never understood how people listen to those type of people. When your neighbor is coming to you and telling you, hey, Bitcoin's going to zero, and you've been here for 2 years, and you're up X amount on your investment, and you're getting on this information. But you can see how, if you were new, that could definitely be blindsiding you and give you false information, because the media is so tainted with not giving you accurate information sometimes in this market. So awesome. Moving over to our Twitter, little tweet from Alex Gladstone. I thought this was really good as well. We got a couple Twitter implementations in here. A snapshot of the internet's growth rate. Bitcoin in its late 1900s phase, somewhat past 2% adoption, 200 million users. It takes 7 years from there to pass 1 billion users. BTC adoption on track to be much faster. And this is honestly true. I like these type of things, because this is, I love the comparison. I love the comparison between the two. Bitcoin has a ton of comparisons between Amazon, the internet, Lindy effect. We've covered a ton on this channel, and I was going back and looking how long we've been doing this. We've been doing this for 6 months. I can't believe how fast it's been going by, and it's literally just because I love doing this, and I love informing you guys and giving you guys accurate information, because it's true. It's always true. We're not crazy, throwing poop coins around, and we're just really down to the fundamentals and numbers, and we're just getting up to date with the most current news that is that's number one, accurate, but also it's truthful. These are numbers, and numbers don't lie. It's very hard to argue with the data. So what we see here, we see from 1995 all the way down to 2005. We just see the absolute explosion of adoption over the I think this is 15 years. Oh no, it's not 15 years. Wow, that is just my math is terrible. My goodness. So the late 1900s all the way up to 2005. So I mean, if we take these two charts and we look at the Bitcoin adoption chart, which we will here in a minute, I think that's on Lark's page. But it's great. It's great to see. And I mean, here, let's go back and look at some of the comments here. I know Andrew here. This is a really good one as well. we got projections. I'm trying to see if they have an internet comparison down here. I don't think they do, but no worries. But you guys get the point. You see that it's a steady game. It's a steady adoption game. There are a lot of businesses and enterprises that, back in these days said, no way. Absolutely not. This is nothing. Absolutely not. We will never do this. This will never become big. And then you could see by, you saw a jump from 0.4 just in 1, 2, 3, 4 years. You're up to 5% from 0.4, and this is internet adoption. So it's hard for, like I said, it's hard for me to, not be bullish and be optimistic for the future when we have stuff like this. So alrighty guys, we're gonna move on to our next one. I'm getting a little worried today. Maybe it's because I don't know. I'm just so passionate about this type of stuff, man. Like this stuff has like changed my life. Like working in this field. Like I really wouldn't want to work in any other place. Like it's awesome. It's really awesome. So Elizebeth Warren also gives SEC July 28th deadline to figure out crypto regulations. So we knew Elizebeth Warren. She's been headbutting us for quite a while. But she's coming around now. She said, hey, we need this check mark off. We got institutions coming left and right. We got ETFs on my desk. We got popularity rising. We have lack of regulation. We're getting beat out by other countries in terms of adoption. We need to figure this out. So the senator who chairs the Senate Banking Committee, SEC chairman she's with Gary Gensler, answers July 28th deadline. So despite the rising population of crypto, lack of common sense regulation has left ordinary investors at the mercy of manipulations and frustrated, said Warren. The SEC uses the fully authority to address these risks, and Congress must also step up to regulate these gaps, she added. So we've talked about regulation for a while. We have seen no ETF just yet, and this tweet going further is going to make a lot more sense when we get to it. But yeah, we just need regulation, and regulation isn't always a bad thing. That's the one thing I really like putting out there, guys, is that just because these guys want to step in and regulate things, people think regulation is like, oh my god, chains, and we chain together, we can't do anything, we literally just lost all our decentralization and it's over. No, regulations could just be as simple as, okay, like I don't need to know your wallet address, of course, I don't need to know who you are, but in terms of having a safety net for individuals such as the ETF we talk about and other things along these lines, is that regulation is not always a bad thing. You need rules in everything. There's rules, and there's even rules in the Wild West. Wild West, there are unwritten rules as well. And that's the thing about governments. Of course, you're not gonna have unwritten rules, but there are unwritten rules everywhere that that are. You listen to them and you hear them and you're like, okay, that's an unwritten rule, I shouldn't do that. Just like in other countries, there are rules, putting your feet up in the Middle East is, sign disrespect and so on. So, when you hear this type of stuff in terms of regulation, just think of more of a light friend approach. They are attacking some sectors heavier. DeFi, they are trying to really get their foot in and figure out, hey, where is this money coming from? How is this going? And that's just how governments are. But in terms of really how we're moving forward, some regulation never hurt anybody. And sadly enough, as we continue to get to that adoption phase, that is something that we need. That's something that has to happen for us to get to that next institutional phase. It needs to happen if we're going to climb in market cap and become, eventually take over the market cap of gold, which I still believe is easily achievable. Absolutely. So, also, I want to play this quick clip from Crypto Wendy. She's awesome. It's the one brutal truth about legitimacy in crypto. It's a 1 minute video. She does a great job. I've been following her for a long time. All these guys I have on Twitter and YouTube and so on, like, give them a follow. Like, some of these guys inspired me to do what I'm doing now. So, and continuing to bring content and just overall really give the, declutter, everything that goes on in this space, because it's new and it's hard. It's very tough sometimes to, really find accurate information and, be, trusted, and entrusted with it. So here, let me give this a play.
You understand, just because something is licensed and regulated doesn't mean that it's legitimate. Look at our healthcare industry. Look at the Federal Reserve. Look at the housing market. Look at predatory loans. Look at the high interest rates that are given to people underneath a certain income level.
True.
You also can't get loans for small businesses, but you can get a loan out to go to school. Legally,
True.
you are allowed to go into casinos and gamble with your money, but you can't invest your own money into a particular asset that may allow you to be financially free.
True.
Heck, if you go into a grocery store, you can buy a water for $2 and a soda for 99 cents.
True.
That's legit, right?
Yeah.
Super healthy. Part of one of the reasons why I love crypto and Bitcoin so much is that it taught me to think for myself. And most of the people I'm surrounded by also think for themselves. Just because something is legally allowed doesn't mean it's legitimate. Heck, look at even some of the laws against DV. That's a whole
Yeah, she's not wrong. She's literally not wrong. Just because something's legitimate, has laws on it, doesn't mean it's ethically right or it's okay. And we see that quite often. So, we've seen bank news, people, banks cutting off crypto transactions, really trying to keep their customers away from, something, and it makes sense. Why would a bank want to support something and support projects and support an ecosystem that is literally going to ruin it? Just like we've talked about not too long ago, I sit in meetings, with big guys and small companies and a lot of individuals, and I just got to tell them sometimes, hey, like, if your advisor or your tech advisor, whoever is giving you these shots, is telling you this is not something to worry about, you should just hold off and wait and not get your feet wet and get this knowledge. First off, it's the information, but I told them to fire them. I really do. I wouldn't lie about that. I tell them, you need to let that guy go, because if he's telling you this right now, then he most definitely told you the same thing about the internet, and you got absolutely screwed by that, because so many businesses, enterprises fell through the water because they didn't have internet adoption and they didn't trust the process. So awesome. Also moving on to Lark Davis, he did a super good one on the 8th. I'm a little bit late on this. I don't know how I didn't see this, but the day-to-day noise can really mess you up long-term investors. So here are a few charts to keep you we call it hopium in this space. When it's like hopium is like, you see him here, like, just like, like staying hopeful, in which we are. So first he goes over the gold ETF. The first launch in the gold ETF was about 2005, and look how that rally happened after we first announced that ETF. So what ETFs really just do is they just get so much more security in terms of big money players, big individual players, and overall just a proof of structural sound security with ETFs. Exchange traded funds are the golden ticket to actually having the truest and most legitimate backing is an ETF. And also going down to Bitcoin and crypto, the Amazon chart is very, very correlated. And I believe we covered this in one live stream, and I don't know which live stream it was. I believe it was like 4 weeks ago. But if you look at overall Amazon's history, would Amazon be a bad investment if you were to look at it like this? No, it wouldn't be a bad investment. But let's say we stopped after 65% in 2010, and you did not see anything else from 2010 onward. Would Amazon be a good investment? No, it looks terrible. It looks awful, right? It looks like, oh my gosh, we're going down to zero. Same thing, same thing when we see these volatility corrections and everything that goes on in the crypto markets. Of course, everything is volatile. Everything has volatility. It just may not be as drastic. We saw Bitcoin lose 50% of its market value from the top in a month and a half. That's crazy. Oh my gosh, that's absolutely crazy. But let's also not forget in 2001, Amazon lost 95% of its share value in, I don't know if these are weekly, I think these are monthly charts actually. This was a year and a half pretty much to where Amazon lost 95% of its value. Would that be a bad investment? It makes you think. It really does. It really does. So it's seeing the trees in front of you, but not seeing the whole forest around you is a very, very big problem that we have in investing. But long-term investors really don't have that issue. It's a lot of these short-term people that have that issue. So that's why I really do preach long-term investing on here, and that's why we don't do short-term investing. Speaking of the internet chart, this is also the chart that I wanted to go back and cover before we hopped over here. But yep, look at this one. Technology adoption curve, log scale, total crypto users, total global users of internet from 1992 to 2006. This is a good chart. I'm going to post all these charts on the Patron so these can be some quick reminders. I think these are really good. These are really good for reminders because I know how easy it is, because it happens to me too. I'm not perfect either. I'll read something and I'll be like, man, I'll get that split second in my head. I'll be like, man, did I mess up, man? Did I get the wrong job? Is this really going away? And then I'll remember, these are the things we cover. These are the numbers that are not said. Imagine if the news would talk about stuff like this. Imagine if the news would pull out these type of data and the stuff that we talk about Tuesday, Thursday, instead of the, moving out of China, hash rates out of China. Oh, look at this. Now, ban this and ban that. Oh, everyone get out of here. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I couldn't imagine how much better of a sentiment and better market cycle we would have if the news would talk about more positive things like this. So speaking of the adoption curve, this is also another one, diffusion of innovations. So for new users to market share, 55 of 100 Americans own stocks, 14 out of 100 now own crypto, but just 1.3 out of 100 humans on the earth own Bitcoin, yet humans have 10 billion mobile phones for 7 billion people. You are early. I like this. I love Lark and his and all the details he does in all his videos. Definitely give him a look. I've been watching him for quite a while too. He's been one of my favorites here in this space for quite a while. And also, he continues with more of these. He's got so many of these. This is a whole thread here. These numbers are weighed out to young investors. A recent study survey shows UK that 44% of young investors' first ever investment was Bitcoin or crypto. We've seen that. That's a big millennial thing and Gen Z thing. Not all banks will, resist the 5-year partnership with Essentials for the U.S. Bank and their crypto clients. This is Allied Bank. I didn't actually see this one. I must have actually missed that one. Let's see what else he talks about here. 41,000 traded companies globally. Of less, those of 2 dozen have tokenized positions in Bitcoin. While they hold, some of them still hold cash, on their balance sheets. But survey 40% of institutional and crypto investors intend to buy a lot more. We see a lot of these institutions doubling down. These guys are doubling down. They're saying, all right, like just like we talked about a couple weeks ago too. Don't want to be that schmuck institution buying at 55K or 60K. No institutional big players doing that. Oops, so sorry, I just hit my mic. Sorry that ruptured your eardrums. But this is a whole thread, and I definitely highly recommend you guys check this out. It's awesome. That's really all I wanted to cover today. This was kind of just it feels like, I think there's like a hopium. There's definitely like a hopium live stream today, but it's really not. It's hard for me to be bearish when not only are we seeing regulation coming, we see big players doubling down, we see the adoption curve continuing, we see the fall of the monetary system continue to fall and do terrible things with Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, Bank of America. Either these guys are the most elite guys and they know the future and they are preparing for something that we don't know, or they're just losing it. The monetary banking system is just really not doing well, and it is not doing well, but it's really about to fall in shambles is what I'm taking from this. In that I know banks aren't going anywhere, but man, what a setback last year was for them, and everything that went down. So alrighty guys, I'm about to wrap up. That is it for me today. I kept it under 30 minutes, so that was definitely the goal. I'll post all these images and some other things in the chart, kind of just to give that extra boost for you guys who are really just stressing. Don't check the charts every day. Continue to go to work, do your thing, and just don't worry about this type of stuff. These are the best times when they're quiet. The most things get done in this market when things are quiet. When no one's paying attention, no one cares. People are calling you names. Oh, crypto was last year, man. No, nah, we're done. But those are the same people. And you'll see here next couple months, maybe a year. I hope I get proved wrong in the short-term time frame. In a couple months, where people will rush back in, just like how we just had, and we will be here every single Tuesday, Thursday, maybe even more now that we have more patrons. And we will continue to cover these things and continue to provide this information. So thank you guys for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. I hope today's information gave you some value, kind of cooled you off just a little bit. I know it's easy to get lost in the sauce. It's very, very easy. But other than that, like and subscribe, share this with friends or family, anyone who, you think they need this, and continue to just kill it. You guys are doing awesome. All the questions, the feedback I'm getting, I know we'll start incorporating our coding live streams, and, I'm going to start getting everything of those in order. But thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate it. Any questions, concerns, please reach out, and please be safe and have a great week. Thank you guys.